Hello and welcome. In football, we talk a lot about what happens on the pitch, the goals, the saves, the drama of 90 minutes. But sometimes, honestly, the biggest battles, the most drawn-out conflicts and the most shocking twists happen off the pitch, in the boardrooms and on the back pages of the newspapers. I'm talking about transfer sagas. These are the stories that grip the footballing world for weeks, sometimes months, even years. They're tales of ambition, loyalty, betrayal, and, well, eye-watering sums of money that can change the fortunes of a club overnight. Today, we're counting down the top 10 most unforgettable, controversial, and downright epic transfer sagas in football history. These are the moves that had us all glued to our screens, constantly refreshing our news feeds and debating endlessly with our mates down the pub. From shock moves between bitter rivals to world record deals that shattered the market, these transfers weren't just transactions. They were seismic events that sent shockwaves through the beautiful game. They kept fans, managers, and the media on the absolute edge of their seats, wondering what would happen next. So get comfortable as we relive the moments that defined transfer windows and, in many ways, defined eras of football. We'll look at the players who became heroes to some and villains to others, all in the pursuit of glory, a new challenge, or perhaps a much bigger pay packet. This is the ultimate countdown of football's most dramatic off-field epics. Let's get started. Kicking off our list is a transfer that sent shockwaves through the Premier League. Fernando Torres at Liverpool was a phenomenon. He was adored by the Cop, a predatory striker at the peak of his powers, scoring goals for fun. He was their golden boy. So when Chelsea, a direct rival, came calling in January 2011, nobody truly believed it could happen. The idea of Torres leaving Anfield, especially for Stamford Bridge, seemed unthinkable. But as the transfer deadline loomed, the whispers grew into a roar. The saga was short but incredibly intense, a frantic last-minute scramble. The final deal was a staggering £50 million, a British transfer record at the time. It was a statement of intent from Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich. But for Liverpool fans, it was a bitter pill to swallow. The sight of their hero in a blue shirt was jarring. The pressure on Torres was immense. That price tag hung around his neck like a millstone. While he did win trophies at Chelsea, including the Champions League, he was never quite the same player who had terrorised defences in a red shirt. This transfer remains a classic example of a shock move that nobody saw coming, leaving a legacy of what-ifs and heated debate. In the summer of 2003, football wasn't just a sport, it was a global spectacle, and no one personified that more than David Beckham. He was more than a footballer, he was a cultural icon, a global brand. His relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United had become famously strained, the infamous flying boot incident being the flashpoint. It became clear that one of them had to go, and a move away from Old Trafford seemed inevitable. But to where? Barcelona initially seemed the likely destination, with presidential candidate Joan Laporta using Beckham as a campaign promise. But then, Real Madrid, in the midst of their Galacticos era, made their move. Florentino Perez was assembling a team of superstars, and Beckham was the final glittering piece of the puzzle. The media circus was unlike anything seen before. Every detail of the negotiation was public, every rumour magnified. When the deal was finally confirmed, Beckham's move to Madrid wasn't just a football transfer, it was a seismic event in pop culture. He joined a team with Zidane, Ronaldo, Figo and Roberto Carlos. It was a saga driven by celebrity, ambition and the creation of a footballing super team that captured the world's imagination. This is a thoroughly modern transfer saga, played out in the age of social media and player-produced content. For 2 consecutive summers, Antoine Griezmann's potential move from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona dominated the headlines. In 2018, the saga reached a bizarre climax when Griezmann, in a move that baffled many, announced his decision to stay at Atletico in a specially produced documentary called La Decision, The Decision. It was a public rejection of Barcelona, styled after LeBron James's infamous TV special, and it did not go down well with the Catalan club or its fans. Fast forward just 1 year and we were back to square one. The rumours resurfaced, but this time they had more substance. The saga turned messy, with Atletico accusing Barcelona of tapping up their star player long before negotiations were officially permitted. when Barcelona finally triggered his release clause, which had conveniently dropped from €200 million to €120 million. Atletico claimed the deal was agreed when the clause was higher and demanded the extra money. It was a drawn-out, public and often bitter dispute, full of accusations and legal wrangling, all stemming from a player who just 1 year earlier had publicly pledged his loyalty elsewhere. By the summer of 2013, Gareth Bale had transformed from a promising left-back into an explosive, world-class attacker at Tottenham Hotspur. He was, honestly, just unstoppable, winning PFA Player of the Year twice. It was pretty clear he was destined for one of the world's elite clubs, and Real Madrid, once again, were the ones with the desire and the deep pockets. What followed was a transfer saga that, well, defined the entire summer. Spurs, led by the notoriously tough negotiator Daniel Levy, were determined to hold on to their star man, or at the very least, extract a world record fee. The negotiations were protracted and played out very publicly. Every day brought a new headline: Bale demands move, Spurs reject bid, Madrid preparing final offer. Bale himself was reported to have stopped training to force the issue, adding another layer of drama to the proceedings. The saga dragged on right until the penultimate day of the transfer window. When the dust finally settled, Real Madrid had their man for a then world record fee of around £85 million, or €100 million. It was a testament to Madrid's pulling power and Levy's stubbornness, a classic drawn-out tug-of-war that kept the football world captivated for months. This saga had a unique narrative hook: the return of the prodigal son. Paul Pogba had left Manchester United as a teenager for next to nothing, frustrated by a lack of first-team opportunities under Sir Alex Ferguson. At Juventus, he blossomed into one of the world's most commanding and exciting midfielders, winning title after title. By 2016, it was clear he was ready for a new challenge, and, ironically, the club that had let him go for free was now desperate to bring him back, ready to shatter the world transfer record to do so. The media frenzy was immense, fueled by his agent, the late Mino Raiola, who was a master of orchestrating these high-profile moves. The summer was dominated by speculation, with Pogba becoming a viral hashtag. Every cryptic social media post from Pogba was analysed for hidden meaning. The deal was a landmark moment for the new, commercially driven era of football. When he finally re-signed for a then world record £89 million, it was announced with a glossy, heavily produced video featuring Stormzy. It was a saga about redemption, about a club admitting a mistake, and about the sheer financial power of the Premier League. This one was less of a saga and more of a complete mystery. On deadline day in August 2006, the football world was left utterly stunned. Two of Argentina's brightest young talents, Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano, who were being courted by giants like Manchester United and Real Madrid, were suddenly unveiled at West Ham United. Nobody understood it. How could a mid-table club pull off such a coup? The answer, it turned out, was complicated and highly controversial, revolving around the murky world of third-party ownership. The players were owned by a company, MSI, led by Kia Joorabchian. The deal breached Premier League rules that forbid third-party influence over a club's transfer policies. While Mascherano barely featured before moving to Liverpool, Tevez became a hero, single-handedly scoring the goals that kept West Ham in the Premier League on the final day of the season, at the expense of Sheffield United. This led to a huge legal battle, with West Ham receiving a record fine but controversially avoiding a points deduction. It was a bizarre, confusing and rule-bending saga that had massive repercussions and exposed a side of the transfer market many fans never knew existed. In the summer of 2017, Kylian Mbappé was honestly the hottest property in world football. A teenager who had just fired AS Monaco to an unlikely Ligue 1 title and the Champions League semi-finals, every top club in Europe wanted him. Real Madrid, the club he reportedly dreamed of playing for, were leading the chase. A classic tug-of-war ensued, with Monaco desperate to keep him and the world's richest clubs preparing astronomical bids. It seemed a straight fight between the established royalty of Madrid and the financial might of Manchester City. But then, Paris Saint-Germain, having already smashed the world record for Neymar that same summer, entered the fray. The problem was financial fair play. How could they possibly afford another nine-figure signing? The solution was an audacious and clever piece of financial maneuvering, an initial season-long loan with an obligation to buy for a reported €180 million the following year. This delayed the bulk of the payment, allowing them to navigate FFP rules. It was a stunning move, snatching the world's best young player from under the noses of their rivals and creating a terrifying front three of Mbappe, Neymar and Cavani. It was a saga that, really demonstrated the creative accounting and immense ambition of football's new superpowers. This wasn't just a transfer, it was an act of war. Luis Figo was the captain, the hero, the symbol of Barcelona. He was absolutely adored by the Camp Nou faithful. In the summer of 2000, Florentino Perez was running for the presidency of Real Madrid, Barcelona's most hated rivals. He made an audacious, seemingly impossible promise. If elected, he would sign Luis Figo. Most people just dismissed it as fantasy, a desperate political ploy. But Perez had reportedly struck a pre-contract agreement with Figo's agent, which stated that if Perez won and Figo refused to join, Figo would have to pay a massive penalty. Perez won the election. Suddenly, the impossible became reality. Figo, cornered by the agreement, made the move. The betrayal felt by Barcelona fans was absolute and visceral. He went from God to Judas overnight. His first return to the Camp Nou was one of the most hostile atmospheres ever witnessed in a football stadium. The abuse was relentless, the noise was deafening. And then came the infamous moment. As Figo went to take a corner, a torrent of objects rained down from the stands, including a mobile phone, a bottle of whiskey, and most notoriously a roasted pig's head. It's a saga that really transcends football, a story of politics, power, and a betrayal so deep it's still felt to this day. This was the transfer saga that simply would not die. For at least 2 full years, the will he, won't he dance between Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United and Real Madrid dominated world football. After winning the Champions League with United in 2008, Ronaldo made it clear he dreamed of playing for Los Blancos. The Spanish media, particularly Marca and AS, ran daily updates, treating the transfer as an inevitability. United, led by a furious Sir Alex Ferguson, dug their heels in. He famously declared he wouldn't sell that mob a virus. The war of words between the clubs, the constant speculation, and Ronaldo's own ambiguous comments created a tense, drawn-out drama. United managed to keep him for one more season, where he helped them to another Premier League title and a Champions League final, but honestly everyone knew it was only a stay of execution. The following summer, in 2009, the inevitable finally happened. Real Madrid got their man for a world record fee of £80 million. It was the end of a long, often acrimonious pursuit, a saga that saw one of the world's best players in his prime at the centre of a power struggle between 2 of the planet's biggest clubs. Topping our list is the transfer that didn't just break the world record, it absolutely obliterated it. It fundamentally changed the entire transfer market and the financial landscape of football forever. In the summer of 2017, Neymar was at Barcelona, part of the legendary MSN front three with Messi and Suarez. They were, arguably, the greatest attacking trio of all time. The idea of him leaving seemed completely ludicrous. Why would anyone leave that? But the rumours started to bubble up. Paris Saint-Germain were willing to activate his €222 million release clause. That's €222 million, a figure so absurd it seemed like a typo. The saga was a whirlwind of drama. Barcelona were powerless. A release clause is a release clause. La Liga initially tried to block the payment, claiming it violated financial fair play rules, but it was no use. PSG, backed by the state of Qatar, were making a statement to the world. They were now part of the absolute elite and could sign anyone. The move was driven by Neymar's alleged desire to step out of Messi's shadow and be the main man, the superstar around which a team was built. The deal more than doubled the previous transfer record, triggered hyperinflation in the market, and remains the benchmark for footballing excess. It was, without a doubt, the most shocking, game-changing, and epic transfer saga in history. And there you have it. 10 transfers that were so much more than just business deals. They were epic narratives filled with drama, intrigue, and controversy that shaped the modern game, from the pure shock of Torres to Chelsea to the deep-seated betrayal of Figo's move to Madrid and the market-shattering deal for Neymar. These sagas show that the action off the pitch can often be just as compelling as the action on it. These are the stories we'll be telling for generations, the moments where football felt more like a blockbuster movie than a sport. But now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most epic transfer saga of all time? Did we miss one? Was there a move that shocked you more than any on this list? Head down to the comments and let me know. I'm always fascinated to hear which transfers stick in the memory of fellow fans, whether it was a moment of heartbreak when a hero left your club or pure elation when a superstar arrived. The passion behind these moments is what makes football so special. And that leads to one final question. What's next? In a world of ever-increasing money and player power, which transfer saga do you think will be the next one to make history? Which player and which club will be at the center of the next great drama that has us all glued to our screens? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.